All right, so like I said earlier, we're going to kind of break this down into a couple of parts. First, we're going to talk about how to get more listings, and then we're going to talk about how to sell listings faster. Shout out to the people that's checking us on live. We typically go live for about 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll drop the link into the training so you guys can take advantage of it as well. If you RSVP, we prefer for you to RSVP, because if you RSVP for the training, then we'll send you the link to the beginning. And you ain't got to worry about waiting, trying to get it in the live. But with that being said, I do want to start off with, many of you probably have not seen the listing, the exclusive right to sell listing agreement. So we're going to go there first. Now I'll pull that up. Now I'm not going to spend a bunch of time. Well, I think Ellen wants to sit in on this training. So we'll start there. Now, many of you are familiar. Who does not know how to get to their forms? Let me see that first. Here we go. I know I can make this better. Who does not know how to get with their get to their forms? If you don't, raise your hand. Look, Dave, all right, so Dave doesn't know. Now, Dave, we got to get you set up with HAR and everything first. So once we do all of that, get them set up with HAR. Yeah. Once we get you set up with HAR, so we'll kind of discuss all of that during orientation. So I know we have you down for coming to orientation on the 21st, but we'll go into that. But anybody else that's on here that doesn't have, if you don't want to show yourself, you can always raise your hand in Zoom if you know how to do that. All right, so nobody's saying anything, so we're just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull the form up. So, and this again, I know a lot of you already are familiar with the exclusive, maybe you're not. All right. So I'm not going to spend a bunch of time, but I just at least wanted to show it to you so you all could see it. This is actually the agreement that we fill out when we are meeting with sellers and they hire us. This is the form that they use, that makes it official, right? You obviously you put their information at the top, put our information where it says broker. Then we put the property information. A lot of this information you can get from the county, the appraisal district. And also, as I'm talking, guys, just unmute yourself if you got questions, or if you want me to go back, you want me to slow down, if you want me to go deeper into anything that we talk about today. And we do have Miss Lala V in the building as well, so she's going to be chiming in on stuff that we're talking about too. Peace and love. Peace and love. All right, Ellen. Oh, she on the phone? Okay. All right, no, you're fine. Apologize. All right, so you put the property information. What I would tell people when I'm meeting with sellers, I would tell them that page 2 is the page that everybody really cares about. Because although this listing agreement is like 8 or 9 pages, page 2 is the one that matters, because page 2 deals with the listing price. It deals with how long the term of the listing is going to be, and it deals with how much they're going to pay you. So all the important stuff is on page 2. If you get past page 2 with the seller, then everything else is a breeze. There's really nothing else on this form that's going to stop them from hiring. So page 2 is the important part. What I would encourage you to do is read the form, right? Verbatim, like read every line, understand every line. A lot of understanding contracts is really you just sit down and reading them. There's a lot of people that try to come to me, come to Lisa and say, well, I need help filling out the contract. When really, if you just sat down for about 30 minutes and just read it line by line, and then maybe just highlighted some stuff that you would want us to expound upon, just that alone will have you be an expert on these forms. A lot of the stuff is just is plainly written in the form. So I would encourage you to do that. So the biggest takeaway from us looking at this form, again, this is the agreement, this is the contract that you're going to be signing with the seller when they hire you. The biggest takeaway is page 2. Because page 2, either they're going to have a problem with whatever price you come up with, Either they're not going to want to list, you know, with the term, maybe they want to do a 1 month, 2 month, and you trying to get them to do a 6 month or a 12 month. You know, they have one price in their head. You're trying to give them a different price for it to sell, or you tell them, hey, 6%, they trying to pay you 2%. So it's those three things that are going to be the points of contention that you get agreement with when as it relates to this form. All right. If you all have any specific questions about the form, then let me know. If you have zip forms, I think it would be good to pull it up now on your screen and then kind of look through it. I give you guys maybe about 5 minutes, well, 2 minutes, look through it. And if there's anything specific that you want me to address or you got a question as it relates to this document, then we'll deal with it. And the reason that, again, and I'm pulling this one up is because this is the agreement that makes it official that you actually have a listing. So unless you have this, unless you have it signed, anything else that we're going to talk about today as it relates to getting the selling the listing faster, anything that we're going to talk about as it relates to that doesn't matter. Because if you don't have this agreement signed by your people, you don't have a client, you don't have a listing. All right, so I'll just take a couple of minutes. If you have it pulled up on your screen, or you take a look at it, and then we'll go from there. So, and while we're giving people to kind of review the form, allowing them to review the form, if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them at me. Do I have a chat open? Yeah, my chat's open. I definitely want to welcome everybody. Got Dave, Terry, Tanya, Schwan, Patrick, Kenyelle, and Zulma. Welcome you guys to the training. And Lisa. She's here. Just reviewing the form. If they have it pulled up on their screen, I'm just kind of scrolling through it slowly, even if they don't have it pulled up, just so they can see it. I ain't going through it yet. Yeah, see if they got any questions about it. We're gonna talk strategies today. All right, anybody have any questions? If not, we'll move on to the next part. And I'm gonna kind of do it backwards. So I'm gonna talk about how to sell listings faster first, and then we'll talk about how to get more listings. Right? Because, and the reason I want to do that is that if you can get one listing, again, like I said it earlier, it's one thing to have a listing, but really none of it matters until you're getting paid. And the only way you get paid is by selling the listing. So you and the seller want you to sell the listing as fast as possible. So we'll talk about that first. Ways that when I had listings, what I did to put myself in the best position, put ourselves in the best position for them to sell faster. All right. So the first thing is HAR. Okay. HAR. There's no marketplace out there better than the Houston Associations of Realtors. Like, they've done all the heavy lifting for you already with the MLS. Over 90% of people that buy houses in Houston, they look on HAR.com. And everybody else that don't start with HAR, that may go to Zillow, that may go to Redfin or Realtor.com, once you put it on HAR puts it on all them other websites as well. So 100% of people typically look for houses online, right? So when you're having conversations with the sellers are going to ask you, well, what all are you going to do to expose my property? And there's a lot of agents. We try to spend time kind of formulating a response as it relates to that. But the reality is, once we get it on HAR, it's being exposed to the masses. There's nobody out there that would be able to see the listing that would not be able to see it on HAR. Like, it's not. So the as it relates to both of these, selling it faster and getting more listings, the most important piece is that you got to be creative. You got to be creative and you got to be smart on how you approach it. Don't get caught up on the mundaneness of just doing what everybody else does or saying what everybody else does and falling in those kind of patterns. Because there's a lot of misconceptions in our industry as it relates to many things by being a realtor. And you don't want to get caught up in a misconception, something that really doesn't work, but because everybody keeps saying the same thing, you fall in line and you do it as well. So you got to be creative. If a seller asks you, what are you going to do to expose my property? I would spend my energy and my time getting that seller to understand how great of a job the Houston Association of Realtors has already done as it relates to branding and driving people to their website. Because anybody that's looking for houses, that's where they go, HAR.com. And if not HAR, Zillow spending billions of dollars to draw people to their site, Redfin, Realtor.com. That's where all the eyeballs are as it relates to somebody buying a house. What you think about that, Ms. Lisa?
I agree. HAR is definitely a great resource to advertise the property, or in addition to everything else. But yes.
Absolutely. All right. So now, as it relates to, and the reality is sometimes with sellers, when you go in you're talking to them to get them to understand or to agree with you, sometimes you have to take other people's opinions. You got to take data. People have studied this stuff, right? So pull up an article, pull up some information, take it into the appointment with you, and just say, hey, look, this isn't just me saying it. Experts that are studying and looking at this stuff, they're saying that the number one place that people are going to buy homes is online. This is the market share of HAR and how it commands the Houston market. Show them what other people are saying, because sometimes people are skeptical, but when they're looking at other information, other data, when you're bringing that in you, so now it's not you saying it, this is just based on, and again, it's showing you as an expert and you understanding your business when you can revert to other places, other experts to validate what you're telling them. It actually makes it a lot easier for people to listen to you when you do it that way versus just telling people. You show them the point that you're trying to make. So HAR online is number one, and number two is the sign in the yard, right? That's the second most effective way that buyers find properties and become interested in properties. So getting it on HAR and getting a sign in the yard as soon as possible when getting on a new listing, that should be paramount in how you approach selling that property. All right.
So in addition to that, when you put your listing on HAR, it connects to a lot of other realtor sites. Like, it actually loads your information to Zillow, right? It loads your information. So I know that we used to quote about 20 different sites that it go to. I don't know all 20 of them, but I do know once you load it into HAR, Zillow will capture it. Realtor.com will capture it. But there's other sites that actually pull from HAR to also promote your listing, and other sites that buyers are looking at to look for properties that are available.
Absolutely. And you guys are hearing us say this, but 9 times out of 10, when you sit down in front of a seller, they don't know that. Like, they don't really fully comprehend the power of what HAR has done with HAR.com and how it's connected to all these other online sources to get maximum exposure for your listing. So when you go in there, instead of trying to think, oh, I need to have this laundry list of ways that I'm going to be exposing this property over the next agent, go in there prepared to validate the power that HAR has already put in place and get your seller to understand, hey man, honestly, this is where we need to be, period. Everything else, we focus our efforts on being effective on this platform, right? And then again, the second one is the sign, having a sign in the yard. So now this is something that I'm seeing lately. I don't know, Lisa, if you're seeing this or if anybody's on, if y'all are seeing this. Now agents are putting signs in the yard of the listings, and they have lights on the signs. So now, and what it is, the kind of the lights, you know, they're charged during the day, and then at nighttime the light comes on and it's shining on the phone number and the name. So now not only are you able to gather attention during the daylight for the listing, at nighttime when people are driving by the listing, you're able to garner attention for the listing. So I would encourage you get a listing, put a light, one of those chargeable lights on the top of it. So now you've expanded the exposure that you're going to get. So again, and now that right there, most realtors are not doing that. Most realtors are not putting lights on the signs and can't articulate to a seller, hey, in addition to people driving by your house and seeing it during the day, now everybody that drives by your house at night has an opportunity to capture the information and reach out to us. They understand that your house is for sale and on the market. Because I promise you, there's nobody at nighttime, people aren't looking, like it's not even registering in their brains to look at for sale signs, even if they're buying a house. They're not at nighttime. But now when they see that light on that sign, it's gonna click in their subconscious mind. And now that doubles the exposure for your seller. Something just as simple as that, telling them that you're gonna put a light on the sign, because those are the most effective way. So Lisa, had you seen anybody put lights on the sign?
No, but I think that's a wonderful idea.
To do that.
Always keep it exposed. At night, daytime, you never know when someone's looking.
Never know. So what are your thoughts as it relates to with pictures, doing professional pictures or non-professional pictures, Lisa? And matter of fact, I'll throw that out to everybody. You guys give me your thoughts on if we should do professional pictures or non-professional pictures on the listing.
I definitely think the phone, the advanced technology for a phone, you definitely can have some great photos with your phone if you have the right phone. I've seen both ways, you know, with my current phone. I'm fine with taking pictures, but I actually had to upgrade my phone in order to get that type of quality I was looking for in a phone. But yeah, I think the cell phones are fine.
Okay, cell phones get it done. Tanya say professional. LaQuana says professional if possible. I think I agree with you, Lisa. I feel like the quality. I think this is the problem that we run into with people using their phones. I don't think it has anything to do with the quality of the picture, because I agree. I think the cell phone's quality competes with most cameras that professionals are using. I think what we're missing is that realtors don't know how to take pictures, right? They don't know the angles. They don't know, how to present the house the right way. And those are the things that a professional photographer brings in to the equation, right? What I do believe though, if you're going to use your phone to take pictures, then you definitely need to maybe take a class or get a better understanding of how to take pictures. You know what I'm saying? I know when I first got into real estate, I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just being curious. But it was a title company that was giving a presentation. I guess I would do better just opening up the chat. But they were doing a class and they were doing a presentation on how to properly take pictures and things like that. And I to this day, I still remember a lot of the techniques that they talked about, like, when taking a picture, find a corner. At that time with the cell phones, they were just introducing things like you could put a wide angle lens on your phone to really capture more of the spread. So I would highly encourage you, if you're not going to get a professional, because the reality is that if I got a listing, man, and they asking $80,000, $100,000, paying somebody $150 to go take some pictures, I necessarily wouldn't pay that expense for $150,000 house. My benchmark was always any house that I'm selling over $250,000, then I would consider professional pictures. And then Zillow did a study And what Zillow found out was that through their study that professional pictures didn't really make a difference as far as selling a house faster and selling a house for more money. They didn't really begin to see a difference until you got to 250,000 and above. Like anything under 250,000, professional pictures or not taking professional pictures really didn't impact how fast you were able to sell a house or for what price point. But once you got over 250,000, that's when you start seeing a change in your chances of selling it faster and for more money. So because of that, that's why I picked that number.
So one of the key things that you want to pay attention to during this process, of course, you want to sell the property, but you also want to satisfy your client.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I do is I pay attention to some of the things that the client holds most dear in the property, as far as that they really enjoy and like, and I put that in. I make sure I take a picture of it. Mm-hmm. So if it's a comfortable spot, fireplace, something they did, you know, that they think is extra special, I would also put that in there because that gives your client some reassurance that you're listening to them, you're working with them, and you also value their opinion in the process as well. And I find that to be if you just go off and take pictures and do things that you want to do and don't really consult with your client or even reach back to them to try to get some feedback, sometimes taking pictures with your cell phone might be a problem. But if you show them that you're interested in what they're interested in and that you are listening, that'll ease some of that pain that they might try to cause you with taking the pictures with the phone.
Absolutely. No, I think that's definitely a great point. Communication, that's actually one of the things that we're going to hit upon, but communication is key as it relates to your clients and when you're going through this process. So when it comes to professional pictures, non-professional pictures, you know, there's just some insights that we offer to you as it relates to, you know, doing that. Now, what are your thoughts about staging?
You paying someone to stage? Or just
either
going
way.
in there. I mean, I can declutter someone's home and take some stuff that they have in there and make it what it is. So, yeah. But I wouldn't pay for staging unless the price point warranted exactly. Yeah.
Right. So the one thing about staging, hey Ellen, I know this was a training you were interested in, right? You can come in here if you want to. Okay. Yeah, you don't have to sit out there. Same thing to you, Isaac. Y'all can come in here. Any of the trainings that we're doing, y'all can come in here. Like y'all don't have to. Yeah. They like it's the whip. It's like Mr. Davis over here cracking the whip on the interns, man. They can't pick their head up off the computer. Y'all come on in here. All right, so here's the thing about staging. This is and you guys are gonna hear this a lot. Selling a house to someone, it's an emotional decision, right? The emotions, the feelings is what determines if somebody's gonna buy your house or not. So because of that, yeah, you know, we tend to believe that a buyer is concerned about the size of the house, that they're concerned about how many bedrooms, they're concerned about how many bathrooms. But the reality, there's a feeling, there's an emotion that's evoked that's going to prompt that buyer to buy your property. So things like pictures, staging, that's the kind of stuff that helps the emotions, that stimulates the senses for the buyer to put you in a position, to put your property in a position to where it becomes attractive. These are the things that make your property attractive. So as it relates to staging helps people be able to visualize themselves living in the property, right? That's why when you go to a new home builder, you go to the model home, it's decked to the nines, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get that client to envision themselves in one of the properties in the builder's property. So I would highly encourage, if it's a vacant property, to consider staging. It's very hard to sell a vacant property or to evoke that kind of emotion in a vacant property because it's empty, right? It's not warm. But if the people are still living in the house, I would recommend, kind of like what Lisa said, maybe get some education on how to stage, how to design, how to move things, you know, feng shui, learn all that stuff that stagers are learning as a real estate professional, to where you could do it for someone where they're already living in their house, kind of like declutter and position the house to where it can evoke those kind of feelings and emotions for the buyer to set you apart from anybody else, your competition that's on the market.
Yes, and even if you don't have, the funds to actually go and purchase furniture or lease furniture, one of the biggest things I see a lot of agents do is they just put a few items in the kitchen and a few items in the bathroom and a towel or two in the bathroom. And that makes a difference because that's mainly some really key points that people pay attention to in a home. Yeah, they see the living room, but then they see the kitchen and they can imagine themselves. I'll see a bottle of wine and maybe a wine glass and a flower or something. And it just really welcomes it just makes the house a little bit, it's just a simple, $10 dollar store situation that you can just easily put something in the kitchen if the house is empty. So staging doesn't have to be elaborate. It just has to be thought out and most effective kitchen and bathroom.
Yeah, and bedroom, master bedroom, right? Think about the areas that the people that are paying for the house are going to be, right? The master bedroom is going to be pretty much the sanctuary. So you want them to feel at home in the place that they're going to be in, the kitchen. And again, the kitchen is where what most buyers, if you get the kind of buyer that's entertained, they spend a lot of time in the kitchen. All right, so that's why the kitchen is a good focal point to want to stage. The master bedroom, the master bathroom. Whoever's buying the house, that this is the room that they're gonna get. So you really want to speak to them, and you really want to touch those feelers with them for those rooms. And again, echoing what Lisa said, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to go all out. Even if you do hire a stager, they don't have to stage the whole house, right? They can just stage, like I said, those rooms, and stagers will, you tell them how many rooms you want stage, and then that'll dictate what the cost is. And don't go into it thinking that you got to pay for it. I've had my clients pay for staging on many occasions. You just got to be able to get them to understand the value in doing it and how it can position their house to sell faster and sell for more money. If you're effective in doing that, then you can get them to pay for it. I don't think I've ever paid for staging as it relates to that. So that's staging. What do you think about virtual staging, like just staging the pictures?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I've seen that. That's a great tool to have a client imagine themselves in the property.
Yeah. So here's the thing about virtual staging, right? Virtual staging is where they stage the pictures, right? It's a vacant property, but the pictures, they put digital furniture and things on the pictures, but the house is empty. My thoughts on it is that the picture and the description on HAR is to convince the client to want to go look at the house, right? When they get in the house, what's in the house will convince the client to put an offer on it. So now, if I virtually stage the property and they see the pictures and they're like, bet, I want to go see it. And then they go in the house and it's empty, it might be a little disconnect mentally for the people. So if one of my ideas was, if I'm going to do virtual staging, then at least when they get to the house, maybe have some easels and like blown up pictures of the virtual stage pictures in the rooms. So at least you can get the buyer into that imagining, that envisioning themselves state again while they're inside of the house. Because them being inside of the house is when they're going to make that determination on if they're going to buy it or not and make that connection. All right. One of the things I mentioned a little bit early, property description, right? I don't feel like agents spend enough time with the property description in HAR. The pictures and the property description is what people look at when they're looking at properties. They go to the pictures and then they read the description, right? So if you're half assing on the pictures and if you half assing on the property description, you're doing your client a disservice as far as marketing their property, right? We already said that HAR, as it relates to exposure, you're getting maximum exposure being on HAR. But if you're not putting your best foot forward while you have that property getting maximally exposed, then you're still not gonna sell the property.
When you write the description out, use all the characters. If you're not using all the characters, then you still doing the client an injustice.
That's
if
right.
You're not using every single character option, that space that's available. And caps don't make it wonderful.
Right.
You know, I see that a lot where agents want to put all caps, and
Yeah,
that didn't move me in any way,
absolutely.
or make me want to purchase the home in any way.
You should use the description, and what Lisa's talking about is they give you limit. HAR gives you a certain limit of characters. I think it's 500. And she's saying use all 500 characters, right? But use the description to tell a story, tell the story of the house, right? A lot of times we see just a bunch of platitudes.
Mhm.
This is a great house. Buy now. You're not
You don't want to miss this.
Yeah, like that's not evoking nothing for anybody to buy, to want to go see or want to learn more about a property. See, this is where you got to tap into your marketing, right? This is why we have to get a little more savvy about marketing techniques. And people like stories, right? Think about when you go back to kids, parents and kids, right? You read bedtime stories. You know, you go to the library and you got story time in kindergarten, and the kids get all up front and they want to hear the story. People want to hear stories, gossip. That's why gossip is so big. People like hearing stories, right? So when you're selling your property, when you're marketing, what's the story of the home? That's what you need to be talking about, describing it, right? Again, painting that picture so they can envision themselves in the property, their property, owning this property. That's what you gotta use the description for, to help inspire that buyer to wanna go to the next step, which is see the property, right? You're not trying to sell the property. You're not trying to get an offer on the property with the pictures and the description. What you're trying to do is you're trying to inspire the buyer to take the next step, which is to schedule a showing for the property. And then you use the condition of the property, inside, around it, the area, you use that to get them to submit an offer on the property, right? That's what you use. That's how you should approach it. All right, so another thing that'll help you sell listings faster is to get the pre-complete the seller docs and give the agents offer instructions. So what I mean is that the buyer's agent is gonna want to see, and the buyer's gonna want to see the seller's disclosure. So go ahead and have your seller fill that out. I mean, I used to get the seller's disclosure filled out the same day I got the listing agreement signed. So I can already have it, right? Then I graduated to, putting the seller's disclosure in DocuSign, having them fill it out online, so then I could email it to them the next day. But I got the seller's disclosure done first. If it was a house built before 1978, I got the lead-based paint form already filled out and signed. And I had that information in the part of the docs in HAR. If the seller has a survey, go ahead and get the survey, put it in HAR, already have it there. So what that does is that decreases you having to go back and forth. So when somebody shows some interest and they say, hey, you know what, my client's interested in this property, do you have a seller's disclosure? If you haven't already got the seller's disclosure done, now you got to stop what you're doing, go get with the seller, send in the seller's disclosure, wait for them to fill it out. By that time, this agent might have moved on, this buyer might have moved on. So get all that stuff ahead of time and already have it accessible to the buyer's agent. That's going to increase your chances of moving fast through getting the property sold. Right. And then offer submission instructions. If there's a particular title company that you're using, if there's particular verbiage, if there are particular terms that your seller has already agreed upon as it relates to the amount of earnest money, the amount of option money and days that are being offered, if all of that stuff has already been done, then create you a one-pager of instructions, offer submission instructions, put that as a part of the docs. So now make it easy for the buyer's agent to fill out the contract and send you the offer, right? Because if you make it easier for the buyer's agent to do certain things, it again greatly increases your chances of you all being able to come to an agreement, right? They call us cooperating brokers, right? When you look at the last page of the contract, it doesn't say buyer's agent, it says cooperating. It doesn't say a buyer salesperson, it says cooperating salesperson. And that's because you're supposed to be cooperating with their representative. You guys are supposed to be working together to come to an agreement for the buyer and the seller. They're not your adversary. They're not the enemy, right? They're somebody that you want to leverage and you want to utilize to help you get to the same result They want the same result you want. They want to get their buyer to buy a house, just like you want to get your seller to sell a house. So both of y'all can get paid. Y'all happy, the buyer and the seller happy. Everybody want the same thing. So let's work together to get that done. And so by having instructions already in place to help the buyer complete the offer and make it easy for them to get it to you without having to make multiple phone calls, like who's the title company, you know, how what email you want me to send it to, how much earnings money, like eliminate all that. They pull out the form, they fill it out, and then they send it. What's wrong? What's wrong? Okay. All right. Yeah, so that's my thoughts. And then again, I have some seasoned agents. I see I got some seasoned agents on here. If y'all have anything, man, y'all chime in with some of the what Lisa and myself are saying with some of these areas. All right. This is a big one. Immediately responding when people are interested in your listing, right? If you get an email, you get a phone call calling on your listing, you gotta whatever you're doing, you gotta go and you gotta engage those people quickly, right? Because, and that's another reason why people aren't selling listings as fast as they can, because they're dropping the ball as it relates to that. We know as real estate professionals, we get busy, right? But if you're in a position to where you can, whether if you get a notification email or you get a phone, because HAR again they've done a great job of being able to, when somebody is interested in one of the listings, directly connecting them with you. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while since I had a listing, but I believe now HAR has it set up to where the people can push a button and they can call you, and HAR connect you with a live call with somebody that's inquiring one of your listings, right? It's imperative, whether it's an agent or whether it's a buyer, that as soon as somebody shows some level of interest in your property, that not only do you need to engage them at that moment, if you can't get to them right then, or you try to get back to them later and they don't pick up, you need to hound them people until they tell you to stop calling me. If somebody, when I had listings, I used to call it preschooler, what did I call it? Preschooler follow-up. And the reason I called it that was because when my kids was in preschool, until you said no, they would keep coming back. Until I told them, look, man, I am not, until I was definitive with my kids, if I left any gray area, they would continue to come back to try to get that yes out of them. And that's how you got to treat people that show interest in your listing. Until they tell you, hey, look, my buyer is not interested at all, then I would keep going after them. Like if they were saying, well, I need to talk to it about my wife, we're thinking about it, we're going to look at some other properties in a couple of days, I would still stay on top of them. And that's the kind of aggression that you want your sellers to know that you're doing. Again, not getting caught up on having this laundry list of exposure, redirecting the seller to understand, hey, these are the things that actually sell a property. These are the things that I'm doing that's going to put us in the best situation to get your property sold, so they don't get distracted with other things. So yes, you gotta be have a level of urgency as it relates to responding to people that are showing interest. All right, get feedback. Got to get feedback from people that have shown the property, not just to be able to give to your client, but so feedback will allow you to pivot or make necessary adjustments if need be. Sometimes with feedback, they'll let you know if you haven't been to the property in a while, they'll let you know that the condition of the property probably needs to be addressed by looking at the feedback. If they say, now, what I would recommend to you is that at least every week or every other week, you need to be going to the property. You need to be going to the property. You know, there were times I had a broom in my trunk. I had a duster. I had some towels. I had some Windex. You know, especially if it's a vacant property, you got to go and you got to spruce it up. I had some air fresheners. I plugged into the wall. The electricity was still on, because again, the condition of the property is what inspires the buyer to put an offer on, right? And if the condition is not up to par, then they're just going to move on. buyers don't have vision, right? They don't just automatically walk in and they can envision themselves do it. You got to help them with that process. So definitely pay attention to and visit the properties on a consistent basis. Get the yard cut, right?
Yeah, one of the things I do with all my clients is I let them know I expect them as their realtor to have the yard cut every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that has worked very well because it shows that I'm respecting their property and they're buying into the fact that they still need to maintain it. So, because when someone comes to see it and they come back maybe a third time and the grass has grown up, that can break your deal.
Right.
Some simple grass. So I let them know every 2 weeks. I do require my clients to cut their yard, and they're fine with that. You just got to give them that expectation up front, though.
Absolutely. Because look, it's funny that Lisa said that it'll break your deal. This is a slippery slope. Once you get somebody on the hook, it's so you got to be so delicate with how you approach it because any little thing can break it. So you want to be proactive on all these things that we're talking about because what it's doing is that it's positioning you and positioning your property to once you get them on the hook, you can reel them all the way in, right? Just like fishing, same analogy. You get the fish on the hook, you got to be careful on how you reel the fish in because you can break the line, you lose the fish. You could, there's so many things to where you can't reel the fish in. So this is the stuff that we're talking about that you got to pay attention to because once you get them on the hook, you want to be in a position to where you can reel them in and get it to the closing table. So, and everybody's happy. So communication, I use the word extreme communication with your client. If you feel like you're communicating with them too much, then you're probably doing it right. Most people do not communicate with their client enough.
But be effective though, because people become a little whiny sometimes. So be effective in your communication. I don't want it to just be where you sitting on the phone with them and they complaining about something. We want it to be a point of communication, keeping in contact, letting them know about the showings, letting them know feedback. So the communication is being informative,
right?
And being accessible and letting them know that we're going, because throughout the process you may make changes.
Mm-hmm.
You may end up having to retake pictures. You may end up having to adjust times. It's different things that come along throughout the process. So that's what you mean by extreme communication.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly what Lisa said. The communication is it's about being informative, right? It's about letting them know, just like the daily news come every day. It comes every day because they're trying to inform people what's going on. Well, that's the same, that you could take that same approach to your client. Like I just talked about, hey, you going over there, sweeping it up, wiping the windows. Tell your client, hey, I went over to the house, I swept it up, I wiped the windows. If you got somebody called on the property and they said, hey, look, we're interested, but we're going to go look at a couple of more properties, call the client, say, hey, look, somebody called on the property. Hell, if they called on the property and hung up on you, hey, they called, but they hung up. So it's about, keep constantly informing them because I promise you, if they don't hear from you, they start thinking their own stories. They start coming up with their own conclusions. And that's the last thing you want is your client coming up with their own stories on what's going on with their property.
And in addition to that, y'all, it's vultures out there.
Mm-hmm.
You list a property and there are still going to be agents that are calling your client, trying to make nice with them or convince them that I would do this differently or, putting shade on your pictures or just letting them know I'll do it for a lesser amount of commission. So that's why you constantly want to engage with your client as well, because you want to keep that rapport going that I'm here, I'm available. There's no need for you to talk to anyone else and get some side tidbits because I'm talking to you. So what did you even need to speak with anybody for? So that's why you want to make sure you're engaged with your client and keep that rapport going at all times.
Absolutely, because they will talk to other people. Right. And they will listen to other people. It's funny, man. I had a guy, he had reached out to me on Facebook on Sunday. I called him back on Monday and he said, you know what, I'm going to use, somebody that had reached out to him on Sunday. And he's like, I'm going to use that realtor to help me. But then yesterday he calls me and he's still going to use this other realtor, but he's trying to get me like a second opinion. And what he was trying to do was he was just trying to validate or verify if what his realtor was telling him was the truth. So, if I, like Lisa said, if I was a vulture, I could have been like, man, your realtors don't know what they're doing, man. You need to move around. If you feel the need to reach out to another realtor to get information, that right there tells you that you don't need to be with them.
That's an opportunity, yeah, an opportunity for someone to come and create another rapport.
Right.
I mean, you got to say, if you say the right 2 words, that could be your client immediately.
Right.
So other realtors out there skilled that way as well. So, yeah. But I ask my clients to trust me off the bat. I don't even really want to work with you if you don't trust me, because then that way it makes my job harder.
Right.
I'm always combating your defensive, and I don't really particularly care to do that. So I let them know I'm a realtor you can trust. I'm gonna stay engaged. These are the 5 things I have to make me stand out differently than the other realtors. So I give them a list of extra things that I'm gonna do for them that other realtors can do the same thing, but because I gave it to them and gave them expectation, calling, staying engaged with them, that's just another way to hold on to them and build that rapport and that trust with them.
Absolutely. And again, if y'all got questions, man, go ahead and ask your questions so we can fill those. Because if not, we're just gonna.
I mean, if any of y'all have any listings right now where you feel like, because I know when I first became a realtor, I was like, I'm not gonna I'm not cutting the grass. I'm not cleaning the property.
Yeah, it ain't my house.
The grass. I have cleaned out a whole property.
Yeah,
I have removed the little urn from people's property. I've done things that I thought I would never do.
Yeah.
To get that listing.
Try to get it moved. All right. So, no questions. Constantly evaluate the property's price position, right? What that means is that the market can get away from you if you're not paying attention. You need to be knowing what new listings are coming onto the market and where they're priced. You need to be knowing what properties have gotten under contract and have sold, so you can understand where your listing is positioned in its marketplace. You got to be studying that thing. Now stocks and trading is the big trend, and they're encouraging people that are day trading. They're studying this stuff, man. They're looking at it every day, seeing how the stocks and things are maneuvering. Well, that's how you got to be with your listing, and understanding from a pricing standpoint, are you still competitive? Because if you're not paying attention to it, you'll look up and you'll be overpriced. And like when you first came in, you were probably priced competitively, but things have shifted and you haven't adjusted. And now you're just out there. You're not getting any phone calls. The listing becomes stale. And I promise you, sellers they're looking for someone to blame. They will not blame themselves, right? You may have given them all the things that they need to do, and they didn't do none of that stuff. And because of it, the property ain't sell, and they still gonna blame you for it happening. So that's why one of the things that Lisa talked about is that she puts herself in a position to not do business with somebody. Like, if you're not going to operate in a certain way, if you're not going to trust me, then she's not in a position to where she can be successful in that relationship. And they're gonna look for somebody to blame. They're not gonna take responsibility for it. They're gonna say, they're gonna put it on you. So if you run into a situation like that, and as some of you newer agents, as you continue to stay in this, you'll be able to naturally, like just through the phone conversation, determine, hey man, this person right here, it ain't gonna work. Like, I better not pick this listing. I better not take this listing. But that's gonna come with time. Hey Jess, phone, the live. Oh, you did it already? Okay, you can get my. Can I have my phone then? It's my phone. It's my phone. I'm like everybody else, man. We find comfort in having it next to us. Like, just to know that it's there. It says failed. Yeah. Oh, it's already on it? Okay, cool. So I don't need to share this? Okay. All right. All right. So constantly evaluate the property price position. And then the final thing is manage the transaction. Like, you got you're the quarterback. All right. I know when I first got into this business, I felt like, hey, the lender's supposed to do that, so I'm gonna let the lender do that. Right? That's the title company's role. So I'm gonna let the title company do that. That's the inspector. I'm gonna let him do that. Well, that doesn't work.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah. Oh no, that you got a quarterback.
Yes.
Yeah, you got a quarterback. You know, when I first got into this business, I was at lunch. It was a young lady, she owned a title company, and we were at lunch. And I just got into real estate, and she was in essence was telling me what I'm telling y'all right now. And I didn't know what she was talking about. I didn't know what she meant, but now I get it. You got to make it your responsibility that the property gets to the closing table. And that may require you as a realtor to do some stuff you feel like you don't need to be doing that you feel like is the lender's job. It may, some lenders, you know, and if that happens, you know, that you don't need to work with that lender no more. But as a listing agent, you don't control who the buyer is getting their loan with. So, and then I know they teach you like, it's technically the lender shouldn't be giving you certain information about the buyer and the buyer situation. But man, when it comes to trying to get a deal done and get it closed, some of that stuff goes out of the window. Like I need to know what's going on so I can better position my client so I can look at what's going on for my client. Because if we need to walk away from this, I need to try to get the house back on the market as soon as possible. We don't have time to be in the dark, right? You have to approach it like that sometimes. If the title company is not moving as fast as they need to as it relates to the commitment, the survey, the homeowners association. I mean, something as simple as who gets the offer to the title company, right? You know, who's responsible? Is the buyer's agent supposed to do it? Is the seller's agent supposed to do it? Who cares? Just make sure it gets there. You make sure it gets there. You make sure the earnest money gets there. You make sure that the inspection is scheduled. You make sure the appraisal is ordered, right? Even though you're the listing agent. You got to manage the entire transaction because one of the things we said earlier, just like when you get the fish on the hook, the fish ain't in the boat until you got a check in your pocket. So that means even under contract, even in escrow, there's a number of things that can kill the deal, right? Look, the buyer can kill the deal. The seller can kill the deal. The buyer's agent can kill the deal. The listing agents can kill the deal. The inspector can kill the deal. The appraiser can kill the deal. The title company can kill the deal. The lender can kill the deal. Like it's so many variables, so many people involved, so many people's opinions involved, so many feelings, so many miscommunications. There's so many things that can blow your deal up. So you got to become very skilled at managing and quarterbacking all of that to ensure that your transaction safely arrives to where it needs to arrive, which is closed, right?
You're testifying.
Come on now. Y'all can see I brought that up from the gut. Y'all know I didn't look, if you ain't never experienced the busted out deal,
Ooh.
you
About 4 in 1 month.
you ain't
4
right.
in 1 month.
Come on, man. I remember I had one that blew up. I was on my way. It blew up at the closing table. I mean, I had already spent that money in my head and I got there, man, that thing just exploded in my face. It caught me so off guard. You never want to experience that. So you got to be able to quarterback it. All right. So those are some techniques and some things on how to get it sold faster when you have the listing and how to approach it. Anybody have any questions as it relates to that or want me to expound a little bit more on anything that we talked about before I move to this next phase of our training for today? All right. No, great info. All right, perfect. Thank you, Tanya. All right. So now we're going to pivot to ways to get more listings. All right, or to get a listing for some people, because some people have never had a listing. Okay. Again, I'm going to start this one off the same way I started the other one off. You got to be creative, right? You first got to understand what's the result that you're trying to achieve. Just like with how to sell the listing faster, the result is selling the listing. So getting more listings, getting somebody to agree to do business with you that has a house for sale, letting you expose it, that's the end result you're trying to get to. Well, you have to be creative on how the things that you need to put in place to be able to achieve that goal. Stephen Covey said in his books, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of the habits is beginning with the end in mind. So before you do anything, you should keep top of mind what's the destination, where is it that you're trying to go, and then your route, your plan, your itinerary should all be based on you fully understanding your destination. But again, be creative and be open-minded. Don't be think inside of the box, think outside of the box, be open-minded as you begin to build a process for you. Okay. All right. So be creative. That's very important. All right. Now, I feel like one of the most effective ways to pick up listings, and I'm not going to say pick up listings. In essence, one of the most effective ways to convince or inspire somebody that has a house to sell to let you handle the transaction. So that's in essence what you're trying to do. So the marketing that you're putting out there or the activities that you're doing, it should be that you're trying to convince people or show people or inspire people that have a house to sell that they should let you handle that for them. All right. So that's what it should all be about. All right. So now the first step is you first need to go find people that have houses to sell. Right. Right. You got to make sure that you're communicating to the right person. So you have to take that into consideration when you're putting together your marketing strategy to go after listings. Well, where do I find people that have that there's a great chance that they may have a house to sell? So let's start there. So I'm gonna pose that question and see what y'all come back with. Where would be some good places for me to go that I have a great chance of there being people that may have a house to sell?
The tax office, depending on the time of the year, but I like to hone in on the tax offices.
Okay, so
Somebody about to get some money, they may want to sell or upgrade their property. So that's a great place to market.
All right, so the people going and filing their taxes, getting them tax returns, they may be interested in selling their homes, using some of that money to fix their homes up so they can put their house on the market. All right, what else? Let's see. Tanya says church, sports events, the gym. Okay, what do you think about those places?
Definitely, places that you already frequent, you're already there. You might as well put it out there that you're a realtor. Ask someone if they're interested in selling their home or just striking up a conversation. But that's the easiest places that you already have to be there. For my kids, for my daughter's basketball, everybody knows I'm a realtor.
Yeah.
But I let them know. I just did my job. I let you know I'm a realtor. Not necessarily they're gonna use me or no one's selling their house, but they all know I'm a realtor.
Right. So. And then you constantly remind them probably.
Oh yeah.
That you're a realtor. All right. What are some other places? What are some other places that you have a great chance of getting, like either they have a property to sell or their clientele may have properties to sell, things like
Insurance companies.
Insurance companies.
Insurance companies are a great person that you can partner with.
Okay. Because people got to get homeowners insurance.
Yes, right? Banks, your bank. When you at your bank and the people who open up the accounts and things like that, I've been really successful in creating a bond relationship with the women that open the accounts, because it is always someone in there asking them if they know someone who can finance the home.
Yeah, do loans.
Do loans. So once they open that window with one of the account agents, they automatically have my card to refer the client refer their customer to me.
Absolutely. And hey, what about the loan officers in the banks, right? See, a lot of times the loan officers that are within banks, they don't do outside marketing. The bank is driving everybody to them, so they're just like an employee. They're just doing applications, right? They're processing applications and processing files. Well, guess what? If I'm doing my loan through Bank of America, right? If I'm getting a $500,000 or $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 house, more than likely I'm a move-up buyer, right? So that means I probably have a house to sell in addition to buying this house. So building a relationship with the mortgage professionals that work within the banks, like a Bank of America or a Chase or Wells Fargo, building those relationships, you may not are going to get the deal, the person that's on the buy side of the transaction, but they can maybe give you that person to help them sell their house. And that's a way that you can pick up listings by building those relationships with them as well. All right.
One more interesting one would be if you have a friend that's in HR, or someone that's that, you know, in corporate America, maybe a manager or something like that, but especially in HR, because HR are the ones who know who's relocating, who's about to be hired, who about to be fired. You never know if the fired person needs to sell their house.
That's right.
So you definitely, if you have a friend that's in HR representatives are the easiest ones that we overlook.
Yeah, HR managers, absolutely, absolutely. So Tanya has a question for us. She says, apartment complexes in areas with high rental properties, are they a good way to leverage to find buyers and sellers? What do you think?
I definitely think so. Some apartment complexes have places that you can actually go and put up a flyer. And so in their mailbox area or something like that, you can go and put flyers up. So those are excellent opportunities for you, for people who are renting, maybe put up a flyer about, you know, how much they actually pay in rent.
But get permission.
Definitely. Oh, you always want to make nice with, I mean, the apartment complex people too. If you go make nice with them, they may refer people to you at some point.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be far and in between because they want to definitely promote their property. But if they absolutely have built a rapport with one of their residents, and then you built that rapport with them, you can go in there and ask them for referrals.
Yeah, and then some apartment complexes they'll let you come and do like host events or host trainings or like sponsor something that they're doing. Come in as a sponsor. So as a way to get from that familiarity with their residents. So yeah, it's definitely a great opportunity, and not necessarily for picking up listings, but absolutely finding buyers, right? But here's the thing, but I preface that by saying this as well. You never know who knows who. You never know who people know. Let me say that. You never know who people know. So you may go into an apartment complex, you may do a sponsor something or host an event or whatever, and one of the apartment residents comes there and they've already had a conversation with maybe somebody in their family who's talking about selling their house, right? So you never know who knows who. So there's always an opportunity for you to pick up any type of lead as long as people are clear on what all you do. So I'll preface it by saying that. Now, high rental areas are not. Now, this is a technique that you could use to try to pick up listings for high rental property areas. You may get a landlord, maybe an absentee landlord, an out-of-town landlord, and they just tired of this property. They want to be done with it. They want to get out of the whole landlord business. So you may run, especially with what's going on with COVID and you know, can't evict nobody, have these moratoriums on evictions, you know, and you know, some of the tenants are not paying. This is probably a good time to find those landlords that are tired of all of this, tired of this property, and ready to put them on the market. So that's another way to kind of approach or maybe leverage, picking up listings in an area that's a high rental property area. What I would say, picking up sellers. Okay. All right. So we talked about banks, insurance, HR managers. What about for sale by owners? What's your take on for sale by owners, Lisa?
Huh?
What's your
Put me
take?
on the spot.
You
Give me the line today.
You ever work with one? No, tell the truth. What's your take on it?
I like them. They're just a hard sell, so you got to go in there and definitely set yourself up for set yourself up to be different than the rest, and be okay with all of the pushback that they're gonna give you. But it's possible. It's possible.
So I created this thing. I called it dating the for sale by owner, right?
Ooh, okay.
I called it dating the for sale by owner. And the reason I called it that is because for sale by owner, they're trying to not pay the commission. Like they're trying to save money because there's no other reason. That's why do-it-yourself people do it themselves, because they're trying to save money. So you already know that going in, right? But again, studies show that close to 90% of all for sale by owners eventually use a realtor to sell their houses, right? So it's inevitable, in most instances, it's inevitable that they're going to use a realtor. So all you got to do is just stay around them. You stay there long enough, right? You be the person that was there and you date them, then that's why I called it dating a for sale by owner. And I think I said, I don't want to marry you. I just want to date you for a little bit. So no commitment. So that's the thing. That's the big thing about for sale by owners. They don't want any commitment, right? They want to get access. They want to get certain elements, but they don't want any commitment. So I go back to being creative, like understanding they don't want any commitment, but they do, but you can, what's the word I'm looking for? You can tempt them because they want stuff you have access to. Like they know the power of the MLS. You got the lockbox, you got showings, you got this other stuff, this expertise. Like they want that, they just don't want to pay for it, right? So being creative and finding a way on how you pull that off. Some of the things that I did was I wouldn't give them MLS access, but what I would let them, hey, I got a lockbox. You want to use my lockbox? You got a lockbox, right? You want me to, hey, look, I'll put a sign in the yard. But the only reason I'll put a sign in the yard is so when people are coming in, I can pre-approve the buyer so you don't waste your time, right? So you're not having to take these phone calls with people and, they're just wasting your time. I'll let them waste my time. And then I'll only, send you to people that are pre-approved, that spoke with the lender. That's one thing that you have to worry about. I'll review the contract for you if it comes in, right? Because guess what? Like I said, almost 90% of them are going to end up using a realtor anyway. Now, why is that the case? Because they don't know what they're doing. Real estate just ain't one of the things you need to be doing by yourself. It's too many variables, it's too many moving pieces. So it's inevitable that it's going to blow up, right? So since it's inevitable that it's going to blow up, just play the game with them and just offer them all these things, these benefits that you'll do for them. Now, they're going to be skeptical. They're already going to walk in being skeptical. So the way I framed it was, I was like, look, the reason I'm willing to do all this for you is because I can leverage your property, right? And I can leverage your property to pick up other buyers, right? So that's why I do it. Because if you don't present to somebody what you're getting out of it, then they're not gonna trust you. So you just be upfront and say, hey, look, the reason I'm doing this is why it benefits me. I'm not doing it out of the kindness of my heart. There's a way for me to help grow my business, as well as help you sell your property faster or make it easier for you to sell your property. Get in partnership, get in relationship with the for sale by owner. So that's the best way to approach for sale by owners. Some people feel like, oh, well, all I got to do is just call the sale by owner, tell them I'm a realtor, and tell them I can help them. That's the last thing you need to do. That's the quickest, you're going to get the phone hung up in your face. You might get cursed out because I promise you, they get a whole bunch of them phone calls. And by the time you call them, they didn't had enough of them. So you do not want to approach it like that. You want to approach it by saying that you want to offer some. And guess what? They're going to be skeptical in the beginning. So you're probably going to have to offer it to them maybe 2 or 3 times before they even accept it. To you, it may seem like a no-brainer. Like, hey, you don't have to pay me anything. I'm going to offer all these services to you for free. They're not going to accept it at first because they're not going to trust you. But if you're consistent, you try them every couple of weeks, just checking in with them, seeing if they did open house. You can even offer to do open house. Hey, I'll do an open house for you. For your property. It's so many things that you can offer to sell by owners, right? And again, as a way for you to just get next to them. So when it does hit the fan and they get fed up, they get tired, they realize it's something that they can't do, then they'll rely on you to help them with the process. It's a great way for you to pick up it's a great weapon that you should put in your arsenal as far as going after sell by owners. Because another thing is that most realtors don't want to fool with them. So you have less competition doing it the way that I'm saying do it, right? You have less competition. And the same thing with expireds. How you feel about expired, like dealing with expired listings? Because you're going to get people that say, go knock on the door, go cold call, go do all that. People hate doing that stuff. You know why? Because it's not effective. What you think about expireds, Lisa?
You would be a different you would put yourself above most other realtors because a lot of realtors, like you said, don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm. And again, be creative. One of the things that I did when I was working expireds, I wouldn't do the new expireds because sometimes the property go expired and it's just because the realtor forgot to update the date in HAR, right? So they, it can come back listed already. And then also now with these new systems that they get they scrub the data and they get the expired people's contact information. Soon as that thing goes expired, that client is bombarded with phone calls. Matter of fact, I pissed I lost a client, I think, because that ended up happening. We forgot to change the expiration date. It went expired, and that man got like 15, real talk, 15 to 20 phone calls immediately by realtors talking about his property being expired, right? So I wouldn't approach the new expires like that. First of all, they're already kind of pissed off that the house didn't sell, right? We know that they see value in a realtor. It just didn't work out for them, right? So I would work expires that were like 6 months old, because 6 months old. Because if you had your house on the market and you still have it 6 months later, that means you're not pissed off no more. There's a reason that you didn't sell it again, right? Mm-hmm. So now I have a better chance of you listening to what I have to say versus when it just happened. You ain't trying to fool with no realtors. I ain't trying to fool with nobody. Anything that's going to get that person to
choose you
or connect. No, I'm just saying anything that'll take that person back, like finding a connection to who they're mad at already, right? Mm-hmm. Just say, if they're a realtor, they mad at them, and they say, I'm a realtor, you don't want to be there. Like, you don't want to be in the same line. So
let the smoke clear first.
Yeah, let the smoke clear, right? And then you don't have no more competition, right? Because all the people that was calling in the beginning, they ain't calling no more 6 months later. So now you have a better chance of them trying it out again.
Well, as y'all can see, Chief like to come up from behind.
Yeah, man.
I would call someone 60 days. I would do 60 days. Because that give them time enough to come down from whatever situation was going on. That's 30 days of other people calling them. And so that'll give the 60 days is more of a window for all of that traffic to die down a little bit. And for whatever the situation was, for them to rethink everything.
Yeah.
But when you do call them, you definitely want to give them a chance to vent. That's the part I'm not keen on. That's the part I'm like, either, so. But I give them a chance to tell me, because I like to play defense. So I like to know why you didn't like that person. Because once I know what I'm working with, then I can come in and let them know, well, hey, you did mention that X, Y, and Z was a situation. I want to let you know how I'm not that way, or what I can do instead of that, or something like that. Because that helps you gain some the upper hand on them, because right. They telling you everything that you need to know to make them satisfied.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point. Yeah, now I go 6 months, man, because I want them to reconsider it, right? Because I'm thinking, if you ain't sold it in 6 months, you probably just said, forget it. You wanted to sell it, or it wouldn't have been on the market originally. So there was something that happened to where now you feel like you can't sell it, and I want to come in there and just show you, well, no, you can sell it. We just need to approach it a different way. Mm-hmm. And so now they can see you more. And I feel like 6 months, they've been in the oven long enough. Like, so now it's done.
But with this type of market, though, 6 months is iffy. It's risky with this kind of market, because by that time they got investors calling them, all kind of stuff.
But that's what I'm saying, which is even more of my point. We're not trying to get everybody, right? So that means if I get somebody that then went through all of this stuff over the last 6 months and they still ain't sold their house, let's talk about it, right? So for me, it's especially when working with for sale by owners and expireds, it's not a volume thing for me. It's a quality thing. So getting through the no's, getting through the rejections, you're going to get way more no's than you're going to get yes, period. So just get through them as fast as possible. Just get through them. Matter of fact, start counting the no's. Stop counting the yeses. Count the no's. How many no's can I get? Because if you start going after the no's, then then it no longer becomes a negative. It becomes a positive. I want to see how many no's I can get for the month of January or for the month of April. So now you're tracking it, right? And it'll keep you doing what needs to be done, which is the activity, right? A lot of times the rejection, right. the self-doubt, it stops you from doing the activity, which is the problem. It's not the no's, it's what the no's cause you to do, which is to take yourself out the game. Mm-hmm. You got to stay in the game. And as long as you stay in the game, boom, that thing gonna turn over for you. Okay, you're gonna figure it out eventually. All right, so expires and for sale by owners. All right, I feel like realtors are missing out big as it relates to local and custom builders in our market, right? And I think the reason we're missing out big is because we're going in there trying to get the listing, We're trying to get the builder to agree to pay us to sell the property. And just like for sale by owners, builders, they're not trying to pay, you're an expense.
Amen.
Builders are trying to maximize their profit, right? So them having to pay you a commission is going to cut into their profit. Well, now when you approach a local builder or a custom builder and you understand what they're trying to do, they're trying to move units. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to maximize profits, right? How can you help them? How can you help either protect their profits or help increase their profits to justify them paying you? So now, if you're able to do that, you go from being an expense to being an investment, right? See, that's how realtors need to approach the builders. You need to approach the builder so they can see you as an investment, meaning if you pay me this amount of money, this is how much more money I'm going to get you. And the easiest way to get builders more money is to help them sell their houses faster, right? Or get them to maneuver resources away and you take over those resources. So now they can get the same resources done without paying as much as they were paying to get them done on their own, right? So it's about how you frame yourself and the value that you bring to the table to the builder, to the custom builder, to the local builder. You know, instead of asking them to get the listing, just say, hey, look, what do you have for sale? I'm going to market it to my people. I'm going to put it on my social media. I'm going to put it in my sphere of influence. Go ahead, Lisa.
And when you do that, I already have some content on your page that you've already marketed. Because that was one thing that I was able to create a relationship with a builder based on my previous marketing of other properties. And he went to his boss and told him, well, she gets about 20 likes on properties. So that was enough for them. So make sure you already have the proof.
Absolutely. And as you keep doing it, you're going to get the proof. Like what you want to create is you want to create a rotation. Like you want to create make this a rung in your marketing strategy to where you're doing it on a consistent basis all the time. You're going to these different builders, you're pulling their properties, you're exposing them, you're marketing them. Because guess what? It's not necessarily about you being a listing agent. It's about you offering the perception of a listing agent. And what's the perception of a listing agent? That they got properties, right? So you can have all these properties, you're marketing all these properties, you're exposing all these properties, and what's it doing? It's driving buyers to you, right? Because the easiest way to attract a buyer, whether they're buying, whatever they're buying, the easiest way to attract a buyer is with the thing that they want to buy, period. If I'm trying to find buyers of purses, then I use a purse to get those buyers to raise their hand, right? If I'm trying to attract buyers of cars, then I use a car to get them to raise their hand. So it's the same thing with houses. If I'm trying to pick up people that want to buy homes, we out here trying to do home buyer workshops and educations and trainings and stuff like that. Listen, the people that come to them are people that ain't buying for maybe another year or so.
Yes.
You want to get a right now buyer? You put a house in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how you get that right. That's why Zillow is so effective. All they did was they took all the houses on the MLS, they put them on one site all over the United States. They put all these houses on one site, and guess what it did? It drove all the eyeballs of people looking to buy houses. They capture their information, and then they sell that information to realtors, right? That's all Zillow did. We can do the same thing. And you can do that. So you have these builders that are building multiple units. They want as much exposure as they can get to, they want to get as much exposure as they can get to help sell their units faster. You come in there, you offer that to them at no cost. And not only can you possibly get them to at some point say, you know what, I want you to handle everything for us. I want you to be our listing agent. That can very well possibly happen. But if it does not happen, worst case scenario, now you can leverage their properties and position yourself to drive more business to you and market more business to you. You can do the same thing with top listing agents in your area, right? If you got a listing agent, a listing team, and they got a bunch of listings in the area, offer, hey, look, man, I mean, I know you probably got your team and y'all exposing these things, but can I expose some of your properties to my sphere of influence on my social media? Can I do that? And if they may say, yeah, cool. And again, it's an opportunity for you to leverage these other listings. So now, one of the things that I spoke about earlier was what you're trying to do is you're trying to convince and inspire people that have a house to sell to let you sell it, right? Well, if every time somebody sees you, you got 10, 15, 20 properties that you're marketing, whether they're yours or not, that's going to give, say, you know what, man, this person must know what they're doing. They always got a house for sale. They're always doing deals. They're always doing units. So creating that persona and exposing that persona to the marketplace is another way that's going to attract you. People want to sell their houses. People want to at least interview with you and see kind of what you're doing to learn more about what you're doing. So, that's that's why it's so important that you position yourself. If you're going after listings, you need to position yourself as like a store, right? If I'm trying to sell shoes, women's shoes, right? There's two ways I can do it. I can go out into the street and just ask multiple people, hey, do you want to buy some women's shoes? You want to buy some women's shoes? You want to buy some women's shoes? I can go do that. Or I can build me a store, put a bunch of women's shoes in that store, and then let the people that are buying shoes come to me, right? So what I'm saying is, as far as picking up listings, create your store by using all these other properties that people are selling, whether from the builder, whether from the for sale by owner, the team, the top listing agent. Use their listings, put those listings in your store as a way to put you in a position to where you can now start getting your own listings to sell, right? It makes me think back on Kroger, right? So Kroger started with, it's a store, but it's selling other people's brands. It's selling other people's food. But now, guess what? Kroger got its own brand. Kroger got its own bread. Kroger got its own water. Kroger got its own, right? So it used other people's items to draw enough attention to now it's to a point where it can sell its own stuff. That's all. That's what I'm saying as it relates to picking up listings. You use other people's properties, you put them in your store until you get to the point to where you're marketing their stuff, but now you can sell your own product in your listing store as well. All right. Again, any questions or any thing that you all want me to expound upon as we continue to go through this thing? All right. So, Lisa, what's your thoughts about probate attorneys, divorce attorneys, as far as picking up listings?
They have clients. Go for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
Divorce attorneys especially.
Yeah.
They're very good.
Yeah, and the reason it is because many divorces, getting rid of that real estate, that's the only thing that's keeping them connected. They trying to
Still be living in the same house, but if they can find a realtor that they can work with,
they can get this
and
thing.
they can get it done. I've worked with divorce clients, and it's all they need is someone to mediate.
That's
Stay
it.
professional and make everything make sense for them, and they'll hire you.
Absolutely. That's the thing about working with divorces and working with those listings. Like Lisa said, you got to be a skilled mediator, right? Because you can't take sides. If you take sides, that's the beginning of the end. If you ever try to take sides, you got to be in the middle, and you got to be the referee, right? You got to keep everybody focused on the end goal, which is we're gonna sell the house, and boom, you guys can kind of go your separate way. So it's got to be that, but you got to understand both parties. You still need to have both parties' approval if you're gonna do it, because you could have one that's just really up on you. Like, hey, yeah, no, you're going to be my realtor. We're going to use you to sell a house. They can be giving you all that smoke. But if the other person ain't in agreement, you ain't going to be the realtor. And what'll probably end up happening, what the court will end up doing is the court will end up making like having somebody to get appointed that neither one of y'all know, right? So you got to understand that when you're approaching things from that perspective. So even as you're building relationships with divorce attorneys, that have clients and things like that, if it's a nasty divorce, it's gonna be tough. because the other party's not going to agree because they just don't want to see that. They don't want to see that person happy. So they ain't going to agree, period. But they building relationships because sometimes with divorce attorneys, they're non-contested divorces, everything's cool, everybody good. It just didn't work out. They're better as friends than being married. So I've seen situations like that. So divorce attorneys, probate attorneys, same thing. The thing about probate attorneys is it's gonna take time. And when I say time, it may take a couple of years before you even get the listing, because the probate process, the probate court process is very long. But if you're willing to be patient, there's this big time probate attorney we used to work for, and man, we would get like 10 deals a year, guaranteed 10 deals a year from this guy, listings. So, there's opportunities out there when you build those relationships with probate attorneys and divorce attorneys. All right, what about wedding planners, Lisa?
Wedding planners? Oh, that's a great opportunity. I never even thought of that. But yeah, that's an excellent
wedding planner. I looked at, if you think of major life events, right? Somebody dying. Sometimes there's some
real estate. Just go to the maternity ward, according to Chief. Hey, just hang out at the hospital or the maternity ward. They're gonna need a bigger house.
They're gonna need a bigger house.
That's an opportunity.
Right. They're gonna need a bigger house. Somebody die, right? There may be a real estate event. Somebody's born. They need a bigger house. Real estate event. Somebody get married, right? So we may got two houses we got to sell, so we can come into one or buy a house together. And then somebody get divorced, right? We already kind of talked about that. So think about major life events and being able to go to places that facilitate, or where you could kind of that attract, that draw people that are experiencing those major life events. One year we got a booth at the wedding showcase that was in George R. Brown. Got the booth, and again, being creative. We came up with this whole spiel. Like, our marketing material was made out of a wedding invitation that looked like a wedding invitation, and we were inviting them to go to this website so we could put them on this mailing list. Like, we had it all laid out. And what we found is that most people, when they get married, I would say within the next maybe year or 2 years, they're going to buy the house. It was never they're buying it immediately after they get married. And a lot of times when they would come to those showcases, their weddings were maybe about a year out, right? So it was a process. Again, being patient with the process. But again, once you build a pipeline, right, then you start seeing results. As you prime that pump, then you start seeing the water flow. So wedding planners, like you said, maternity ward, OBGYNs, nice. Get good with one and say, hey, they going in there and telling you now that they need to buy a house, they got these kids.
That's right.
Let me know, I can talk to them.
Save you money on rent.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all remember, photographers and makeup artists are people who come in contact with weddings. So just kind of have an extension of that. If you may know someone, I think in this building we have 20,000 lash technicians that I see coming through in and out of this building. So it would be someone that you could connect with, because at some point they're going to do someone's lashes that may need to get married.
That's true.
At a wedding or something. So you never know. Just be creative. But.
Absolutely. Be creative. Be creative. Be creative. All right. So what about investor transactions like wholesale? Y'all familiar with wholesalers? Wholesale transactions? You familiar with wholesalers, Lisa?
Yes.
All right. So a wholesaler is somebody, they'll get a property under contract and then they're trying to sell it to somebody else. They're trying to sell that contract. Well, again, we talked earlier about giving the perception of having properties to sell, being your store. You can bring, that wholesaler wants to get as much exposure for his contract as possible as well. So everybody's good with free exposure. So if you create a platform and you're able to offer them free exposure, they're going to go for it. Whether they're a builder, for sale by owner, whether they're a wholesaler, they're going to go for it. Top agent, they're going to go for it, because more exposure equals a greater chance of them getting to their end result, which is getting that property sold. And like I said before, you use their stuff in your store until you get to the point to where you're now picking up your own listings because of the perception that you've now created in your marketplace. But you got to be patient with the process. You know, as it relates to picking up listings, and you got to be patient with the process. Just worry about getting the first one, right? And then after you get the first one, then you'll begin, the wheels will start turning. You'll begin to start being more creative in growing it and getting a greater capacity. I got to the point that to where we had over 20 listings at one point. So it can happen, but again, you got to be patient and you got to be committed to the process and the activities that are going to get you there. All right. With that being said, anything else? Anybody have any questions? Any comments? Any specific questions that y'all want me to address?
Come on, Terry. That's what you want.
Say, Terry, you always got something to say. Yeah. So I learned this from Mr. E.L. Crane. I think it's a great technique. So now I'm going to just call out some names, and I want you all to tell me, you know, one thing that you learned from today's training. So we'll start with Shantae. So Shantae, give me one thing that you learned from today's training.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you see me? I'm sorry. Okay. Well, yes, I've learned on here that you can go through, that you can get with like divorce attorneys in order to try to work with clients to try to get listings and sell property. And also you had saying that you can get with like the top agents in my area and try to market some of their property too as well, to bring more listing exposure as well, right? Is that right?
Absolutely. That's right.
Okay. And also you was talking about managing your transactions, staying on top of the title, not just leaving it to the title company to take over from that point, keeping track of dates, you know, deadlines, and also making sure the process is going smoothly. There are no hiccups or whatever, any problems with trying to get that deal closed.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Shantae.
Okay. Okay.
David, what you got? Give me one thing that you learned today.
Hey, I learned that the description box needs to tell a story. 90% of the listings on HAR, and get some lights on your sign.
All right, good. There we go. Tanya, what you got?
If you feel like you're overly communicating too much, that's perfect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Shay, what you got, Shay? Shay? Shawan? All right, we'll come back to Shawan. Zulma, what did you learn today, Zulma? Zulma?
Anybody there?
All right.
Anyone?
Kenyelle? Is there a Kenyelle? Okay. Terry?
I know you're
Wake
there,
up,
Terry.
wake up.
Which one? Where's Terry?
Terry
There she
Petrie.
is.
There you go.
Well, how to market builders and utilize apartment complex for getting listings and buyers, and also the virtual staging.
Okay.
Learned about that. And expired listings, not to target new expired listings, older ones. And what else?
You're taking notes.
Oh, and how to sell to FSBOs.
Yeah.
Nice.
Date them Fizbos.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. All right. One more round. Is Shawan there, Zulma there, or Kenyelle? Either one of y'all three want to share what you learned today. Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, man, that's all I have, guys. Lisa, you got anything else for the people today?
No, it was great.
Yeah, good training, good
Lot of
turnout.
information. I learned something too.
Yeah, so so we recorded it. We're gonna have it on the YouTube channel in about a week, and it'll be ready to go. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day, And we'll see you tomorrow. We're gonna have a White Star Title's gonna be in. It's gonna be a lunch and learn. So if you want to eat, you got to come to the Coaching and Training Center. But if you just want the information, then you can do that on Zoom as well. But we'll be doing that tomorrow, Thursday. We're doing Meet the Brokers Thursday evening at 5 o'clock. So if you know anybody that's in the process of getting their license, or they're with another brokerage firm and they're open, they're entertaining, making a move, then definitely invite them out to meet the broker on this Thursday. And we're doing the concealed handgun license class on Saturday. So if anybody wants that, let me know and I can get you connected to my guy. All right, with that being said, man, you guys enjoy yourself and we'll be talking to you later.